Hello, and thanks for listening to PXP Podcast. It's a show about leadership, self-development, personal growth, and accountability. I'm your host, Jayme Yarroch. Now, you can catch our podcast on almost any platform or directly from our website at pxppodcast.com. To hear it hot off the press, check out our host on the Podbean app. If you have questions or want to hear a particular topic discussed, or even want to be a guest on the show, connect with me on social and send me a message. Now, are you ready to kick off today's episode? All right, here we go. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time zone you may be listening in. Welcome to PXP. I'm your host, Jayme Yarroch. Now, today we're going to continue on our journey towards building self-confidence and towards achieving our goals. Ultimately, that's what we're trying to do. We've spent the last month really focusing on setting and keeping daily tasks, helping to build that self-confidence, making promises to ourselves, and then keeping those promises. And that's what results in us building that self-confidence. And I'm really excited to share with you a new resource. I told you about it last week. And I'm really excited to share this new resource with you. It's called the Daily Playbook. But before we dive into that, the Daily Playbook, I want to explore two important concepts that are going to help us on our journey. And I think if you'll apply these on your quest to build your self-confidence, on your quest to accomplish your goals, I think you're going to find this is kind of the icing on the cake. I was thinking about these concepts this week, and I thought about breaking them into two separate podcasts, but really I couldn't decide which one to talk about first. And so I thought, no, I'm just going to give them both at the same time. And so there's two concepts we're going to talk about today. First, let's talk about the idea that just because something is simple, it doesn't make it easy. Right? This is a crucial distinction to make. There are many, many, many things that are simple actions that we can take, and they can make a significant impact in our life and our goals, our personal life, professional life, doesn't matter. But that simplicity, that can be deceptive at times, right? Let me give you an example. Take drinking a certain amount of water every day. We know we're supposed to consume a certain amount of water, and it's a simple task, right? Just drink water. And we might tell ourselves that's easy, but in our busy lives, remembering to hydrate on a regular basis, it can be challenging. Just because something is simple, it doesn't always make it easy. Another example. Let's say you want to walk for 30 minutes a day. That's a simple task, right? You don't need any special equipment. You don't need any training. Look, you just put one foot in front of the other, Pat and Bob, just one in front of the other, right? Yet finding the time and even that internal motivation, that drive to walk on a daily basis, sometimes that can be difficult. It might not be easy. All right, here's a few more examples. Eating a balanced diet, right? That concept is simple. We know what to do. Eat more fruits and vegetables. Eat less processed food, less things that come in a box. But changing those long-standing habits, that can be really hard sometimes. It's a simple concept, but it doesn't make it easy. One more, getting enough sleep. We know we should. We all know the benefits of a good night's rest. The action is simple, right? Just go to bed early. You wake up refreshed. But it's not always easy, right? Stress, our schedules, our habits, things we're trying to fit in, society, like all those things make it hard to achieve sometimes. So you get the point, right? Sometimes things that are simple, they're not always easy. And here's the rub. The simplicity of these actions. All right, listen to me now. Just because they're simple, sometimes that makes us feel a bit of a failure when we struggle with them, when we have a hard time doing those things that are seemingly so simple. We can feel like a failure. But it's important that we acknowledge just because something is simple does not make it easy. And listen, recognizing this, it helps us to become more compassionate with ourselves And it helps us to be more persistent in our efforts, in our drive to get these things done, right? A tangible way to overcome this challenge is to break down these tasks into simple steps. They're already simple, but let's break them down into smaller steps. For example, let's say let's go back to our drinking water example. If drinking, let's say you want to drink 100 ounces of water in a day, and that feels overwhelming. Like you're going through the math and you're like, well, how many glasses of water a day is that? Or how many 20-ounce bottles is that a day? And it feels overwhelming. Well, then start by focusing on drinking just a glass of water in the morning, right? So wake up, when your feet hit the floor, go drink a glass of water. You do that first thing in the morning. Once that becomes a habit, then you add another glass, maybe in mid-morning or at lunchtime, and so on. And you break those into smaller tasks. Break it down into small, manageable parts that you can build up your goal without feeling overwhelmed. This is just what we've been talking about for weeks, right? We added one task to your daily routine. Today is 4 weeks ago. If you've been following along with this since episode 107, and if you've been tracking, if you've been doing this thing, so 4 weeks ago, you added one thing to your daily task, to your routine, just one. And your goal was to accomplish that task every single day, right? Cross it off your list. And then 2 weeks ago, we added another, so it was up to 2 a day, right? All we're doing is just breaking these things down into manageable tasks that become habits, right? So when you break them down into those small, manageable, bite-sized parts, then you can build up to what your ultimate goal is without feeling overwhelmed. Now, for some of you, you may be able to say, you know what, I can tackle this. This is no problem. I can drink 100 ounces of water in a day, and I can just set out and start doing it, because maybe you've already got some foundation there, or maybe you just, that's not something you struggle with, and that's fantastic. But for some of you, you're going to have to step into this thing, right? So some of your long-standing habits kind of get in the way of this. And so don't feel bad about having to break this down into small, manageable parts, right? And then you can use reminders too, because that's oftentimes one of our roadblocks is we just forget, right? We get so busy. It's not a habit yet. If we stay on the idea of drinking water, it's not a habit yet. So you're trying to drink water. You want to drink let's say you want to drink a glass of water every 2 hours. That's hard to remember if you're not in the habit of doing it. So set a reminder on your phone. Set a 2-hour reminder. Drink a glass of water at 8 a.m., one at 10, one at 12, one at 2, one at 4, one at 6, one at 8. Just drink a glass of water every 2 hours. Put a reminder on your phone. And drink, 8 ounces of water, 10 ounces of water every 2 hours, and whatever the math adds up on that, I don't know. And you have your water in for the day. It's small, manageable chunks. And so if you need those little reminders, those little helps, then feel free to jump in there and do that, right? Help use those helps, those reminders, to help seamlessly integrate it into your routine. Does that make sense? Awesome. All right, let's talk about our second concept. And this one I talk about from time to time in various different aspects, but I think it's important to remember it from the context of us building on our daily habits of trying to accomplish our goals, of building our self-confidence, of adding new things into our daily routines. Right? And so let's transition to this, and this is the idea of enjoying the journey as much as the destination. Right? And I've talked about how the finish line always moves. You may have a goal, and that goal may be XYZ. But I would just about guarantee that as you go through the process of reaching that goal goal changes a little bit, right? That finish line is not exactly what you set it out to be, right? We often set goals and then we focus so intensely on achieving them that we forget to appreciate the process along the way, right? And so when that destination changes, when our vision might evolve a little bit, if our goal changes just a little bit, if that finish line moves just a little bit, and we haven't enjoyed the journey, then we're setting ourselves up for disappointment. Think about it. If your whole satisfaction, your whole happiness, your whole joy is wrapped up in the finish line, what if you don't reach the finish line? What if the finish line continually gets bumped down the road because your goals get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger? Right? What if that finish line just continues to move? Not you don't reach the finish line because you failed, but because your goal keeps getting bigger. Your vision keeps getting bigger. The thing you want to accomplish changes. You pivot. You course correct because new information is found. Whatever the case may be, but what if you don't reach that thing that you've got your entire joy and satisfaction and anticipation all wrapped up into? Right? You're setting yourself up for disappointment. Now, I was thinking about this analogy yesterday, and it's just a personal experience of mine. You know, when I like to cook on the smoker or on the Blackstone, and the end result, don't get me wrong, is always satisfying, right? So you pull that meat off the smoker, and you know, whether it's some ribs or a Boston butt or some chicken or whatever that is that you've put on the smoker, and you pull that off, and man, it's good, right? And or you do some hibachi on the Blackstone or some smash burgers or some vegetables or whatever the case may be. And you take that off, and boy, it sure is good, right? But I enjoy the journey, the actual cooking process, just as much, if not more, right? There's something incredibly fulfilling about all the steps that are involved in it, right? You select, you know, whatever meat you're going to cook and whatever vegetables you're going to cook, and you get them all ready, and you prep them, and you cut them up, and you season them, and you know, you get the smoker to the right temperature, and you do your research to figure out exactly what temperature you want that internal temperature to be when it's done. And you're just patiently waiting. And if you're on the Blackstone, you're flipping meat and you're flipping vegetables, and you're just going after it, right? And the journey for me is where the magic actually happens. You know, and each step along that journey brings its own sense of accomplishment, its own sense of joy, if you will. Right? Just like in our personal and our professional lives, it's essential to find enjoyment and fulfillment in the process of working towards our goals, not just achieving in the final result. There should be fulfillment along the way, right? And this mindset, it helps us to stay motivated, and it helps us to stay resilient, because so there's going to be times throughout your journey when it's going to get tough. And we need to stay motivated. We need to stay resilient. So when those tough times come, we can push through it. Think about it. If your only joy comes from reaching a goal, you're going to spend most of your time feeling unfulfilled, right? Because along the way, if you're not finding joy along the way, first of all, I would opine that if you're not finding joy along the way, you're probably not going to find joy in the end result. That's probably a whole nother conversation. But if you don't find joy in the process, I wonder how you're going to ever find joy in the end result, right? Because the end result is just a culmination of all the hard work that you've put in to get there. So the key is to find ways to enjoy the process, even when it gets challenging. And it doesn't mean that the journey's always going to be easy. And that's an important distinction or important thought to make. Is that just because you find ways to enjoy it doesn't mean it's going to be easy. But there are ways to find satisfaction and to find joy and fulfillment along the way, contentment along the way. I love the idea of being fulfilled throughout the journey, of finding contentment throughout the journey. But I want to give you, because this is play-by-play, and so we want to give you a playbook. I want to give you 5 strategies that'll help you enjoy the journey along the way. All right. So if you're writing them down, if you're one of the listeners that writes these things down, make you a list, get your pen and paper out, get your notepad out on your phone. There's going to be 5 things we're going to talk about. Number 1, celebrate the small wins, right? Just like we've been doing in our daily tasks, we need to celebrate each small victory. Along the way, when you're going through the journey, going along that journey towards that ultimate goal, towards Maybe it's just building a habit. And sometimes we make that ultimate goal. It's some pie in the sky, some big thing. It doesn't even have to be that. Your goal could be that you want to build a habit of drinking enough water throughout the day, right? That can be your goal. It doesn't have to be some massive, huge thing that, some big, hairy, audacious goal. It can be something simple, right? Like drinking enough water. But celebrate those small victories. When you get into the habit of drinking water every morning when you wake up, right? So you the first thing you do is you get a glass of water, right? Throw a slice of fresh lemon in there, make it even better. And so you do that every day, and after a week or two, celebrate that. After a day, celebrate it, right? After a couple days of doing that, celebrate that. Celebrate the small wins. Each step forward is progress. No matter how small that step is, it's progress. And by acknowledging these small achievements, by recognizing them, by celebrating them, it helps to keep you motivated, right? So, number 1, celebrate small wins. Number 2, practice gratitude. Take a little time each day to reflect on what you're grateful for, right? This can shift your focus. It's hard to be in a negative space when you are feeling grateful for the things in your life, right? And even when you're going through tough times, there's still things to be grateful for. And I know it's easy for me to say on the backside of this microphone that, hey, there's things that you should be grateful for in your life. But really there is. We all have things to be grateful for. The fact that you are able to listen to this podcast even means you have something to be grateful for, right? You've got a device that allows you to listen and to work on yourself and improve your own self-confidence, to engage in self-development. That's something to be grateful for. 20 years ago, we didn't have that. We didn't even have stuff like this 20 years ago, right? Something to be grateful for. So that shift in your focus from what's difficult to what's going well, right? It shift your focus from the challenging parts of it to what's going well, and focus on those small wins, right? Practice gratitude. It makes the journey that much more enjoyable. And I challenge you, journal those things, right? Put them down on your journal about the things you're grateful for. When you're having a bad day, go back and read those things you're grateful for. Sometimes we forget the things that we're grateful for. The negativity kind of overshadows everything. The stress and the challenges and all those things in life, they can overshadow the things that we can be grateful for. So if you write those down, hey, when you're having a bad day, whip out your little gratitude book right there and just read the things that you're thankful for. Sometimes that can be so helpful in bringing those things back to the surface, right? Our subconscious, our mind, positive things like positive things, negative things like negative things, right? Misery loves company. And if that's what we're feeding our mind, that's what our mind's going to think about. But if we give it some things positive, we pour that positivity in there, our mind has the capability then to shift from a negative outlook to a positive outlook. All right, number 3, stay present. Focus on the here and the now. What's going on right now in front of you? What's going on today? Rather than constantly worrying about the future. Right? That's tomorrow. You can't change tomorrow. We can change the trajectory, right? We can do some things to alter the trajectory of tomorrow, but to worry about something that hasn't happened yet, stop and think about that for a second. The amount of energy and mental real estate and heartache sometimes that goes into worrying about something that hasn't even happened yet. Practicing mindfulness can help us stay grounded. It can help us to appreciate the very moment we're in, right? So be present. Wherever you are, in whatever environment you're in, be present, right? Be there where you are. Enjoy the moment. Enjoy the moment. Find fulfillment, find contentment, find joy in that very moment you're in. Be present in it. Don't worry about the future. Remember the windshield and the rearview mirror? We're looking forward. That's today, right? We're looking out at what's going on in the present right now. We can only see so far ahead. So why worry about what's beyond what we can see? The rearview mirror, that's just to glance at. Remember where we've been. But our focus should be right here in the present. So 1, celebrate small wins. 2, practice gratitude. 3, stay present. 4, find joy in the process. Look, there's going to be challenges in the process. There's going to be road bumps. There's going to be blocks in the road. But that doesn't mean we don't find joy in the process. Look for aspects of the journey that you enjoy. When you're going through a challenge, there's no doubt that some of that is not fun, right? When you're trying to accomplish certain tasks, not everything you do throughout your day is going to be enjoyable, right? I had to trim the rose bushes in front of the house a couple weekends ago. That wasn't fun, but I just found a way to enjoy the process. I knew at the end, the outcome was going to be fantastic. And so I found a way to enjoy the process. Got a little exercise in the mix of it. Enjoyed kind of shaping up the roses a little bit. So you find ways to enjoy the journey, right? Whether it's learning along the way, learning something new that you didn't already know, picking up a new skill. Maybe it's the challenge itself, like overcoming the challenge, celebrating the win of overcoming the challenge, or maybe the growth that you go through along the journey, but find something positive to focus on. Right? If you can't find something positive to focus on, go back to rule 1, celebrate the small wins. You'll find some small wins that you can celebrate, right? But find something positive to focus on. Get your mind shifted to a positive outlook, right? 5, be flexible. Be open to changes. Be open to adapt as you need to move forward. We sometimes get so rigid and we have this plan in place. And if anything comes along to disrupt that plan, it disrupts our whole outlook or our environment, right? Be flexible, right? Be ready to course correct. Sometimes if we anticipate change, it makes accepting that change so much more palatable, so much easier, right? So be open to change. Be ready to adapt. Be ready to pivot. Be ready to course correct. Sometimes the path to your goal, we want it to be this straight line, right? We want it to be A to Z, just a straight line, the way a crow flies. But that's not actually what happens, right? The path to our goal isn't straight. Sometimes we have to be flexible because that helps us to navigate the challenges or the detours, right? And to do it with a positive attitude. If we try to stay rigid, we're going to end up being more negative, right? Because things aren't going our way. But if we hit a roadblock, if we hit a challenge, and we figure out a way to pivot or detour around that roadblock or that challenge, we can be excited. That's a small win we can celebrate. Hey, we detoured around it. We pivoted the roadblock. And that's a small win, right? That's a way to find joy in overcoming a challenge that we met along the way. So be flexible. So your 5 strategies to help you enjoy the journey today. 1, celebrate small wins. 2, practice gratitude. 3, stay present. Don't worry about what is to come in the future. Don't waste the energy on it. Don't waste the mental real estate. 4, find joy in the process. And 5, be flexible. Be open to change, right? So those are your 5 strategies. Now let's talk about the daily playbook. I told you we were introducing it today. So let's tie all these concepts back to our ongoing challenge. Over the past month, we started with the one task a day for 14 days. Then we moved to 2 tasks per day for 14 days. And today marks the end of that 14 days, which is a month in total. And so I'm excited today to introduce the daily playbook. And the daily playbook is a 1-page document, and it's designed to help you plan and to track your daily tasks that are the things that are helping you to build this self-confidence. It's not your whole day. It's those singular things that you're trying to make a habit out of. It's those things that you've been journaling. It's the task that you've been trying to make a habit. So starting today, I want you to write down 3 tasks each day. You went from 1 to 2 to 3. And by now, that first one, it should pretty much be a habit, right? So that one, you might even be able to replace that one with another task by now. I don't know where you are. I don't know if it's become a habit yet. But after about 30 days or so, you ought to be able to start thinking about that becoming a habit, right? After doing it for about 30 days, it should kind of become a habit for you. Right? So I want you to write down 3 tasks each day. And these are your winning plays. Right? Every coach has their winning plays, those plays that they know are going to pick up yards or they know are going to score points. These are your winning plays. These are going to be the plays that help you reach the next level. Right? So I want you to write them down on this daily playbook, and you'll see what it looks like. I'm gonna give you a link to it. It's going to be in the show notes, the episode description. You're going to write down your 3 tasks for the day. There's a part for all 7 days of the week. This one-page document will get you through 7 days, right? So everything starts on Sunday. Sunday starts the week. You're going to write down your task. You'll be able to start this tomorrow. You're going to be able to write down your tasks, all 3 of them. And as you complete them, draw a line through it. All right. And when all 3 are done for the day, I want you to put a big old W over that day. That means you won the day. All right. So put a big W on the day. You write all 3 down. As you complete them, cross them out. At the end of the day, if you've crossed out all 3, big old W over it. Right. The playbook's got spots for all 7 days. At the end of the week, you should see 7 W's. All right. And if you're up to the point where you're at 3 tasks a day, that's going to represent 21 promises that you made to yourself and you kept. Look, folks, that's huge. These are small tasks, small wins that turn into daily wins, which turn into weekly wins, right? You're going to win the day. First, you're going to win the task. Then you're going to win the day. Then you're going to win the week. And then I want you to save your daily playbook each week when you complete it. It's got a spot at the top for the date of the start of the week. So whatever Sunday's date is, you put it up there at the top. And when you get done with that week, save that. And then after 4 weeks, you can look back. There's a month, and you should see 30 days of wins. Right? So you win the task, you win the day, you win the month, or the week, and then you win the month. And you'll see how these small victories accumulate into significant progress. Imagine that you're at the end of your month and you look back and you've got 4 daily playbooks, and all 4 of those are covered with W's. You know how exciting that's going to be? You will have won the whole month. You made all those promises to yourself and you kept them. You know how much self-confidence that's going to be? You're going to build upon that and build upon that. And when these tasks become habits and you no longer need to write them down to stay accountable to yourself, you take them off the list. You still keep doing them because they're a habit now. And then you add new habits, right? New things you want to place. But you've created these new winning habits in your life. When they come off the list, that's a win right there. Celebrate that. You've created these new winning habits in your life. And then you're going to replace those with new ones that'll help you move the needle, help you reach your goals, help you to become the best version of yourself. All right, this is your daily playbook. So you follow the playbook and you win the game. And a link to the playbook is going to be in the description of this podcast, in the episode description. So go there. If for some reason, whatever platform you're listening on, if it's not there, go to this episode at pxppodcast.com. pxppodcast.com. Go to this episode. I think it's 110. Go here and you'll see it in there. There'll be a link in there for it. So download it, print it out, pen to paper, put it on the fridge, put it in your daily planner, wherever it is, and let's start building these habits. Let's see some W's. I would love to see your sheet at the end of a week. Maybe take a picture of it, post it on the PXP Podcast Facebook page or on Instagram. Share those wins so we can celebrate them with you. Remember, just because something is simple, it doesn't make it easy. So acknowledge these challenges, but keep pushing forward, one foot in front of the other. We might get knocked down, but we're always going to keep moving forward. Right? And as you work towards your goals, don't forget to enjoy the journey. right? Celebrate your wins, practice gratitude, be present, all those things we talked about, those strategies, the 5 strategies. I'm going to be so proud of you. Before we wrap up, remember the daily playbook is available. You can download it in the link in the episode notes, in the show notes. So download it, print it out, start using it, right? But then I want you to share this podcast with someone who might benefit from it. Let's keep spreading this message of empowerment and of growth, positivity, of self-confidence building. This series we're on right now, episode 107 to 110. I don't know if it'll continue. This might be the last episode in this series. We'll see how this week goes. We'll see what comes to mind. But surely episode 107 to 110 is our series on building self-confidence, right? So share it with somebody who you think can help, right? The 5 closest people to you, if you like it, they're probably going to like it too. But most of all, I hope that something that was said today helps you to become a better version of yourself. I'm your host, Jayme Yarroch, and I hope you have an absolutely amazing day.